Downright irritable, Walker agreed. Bobby studiously ignored the ribbing. They'd tire of it eventually. Besides, if he was going to get to the bottom of this unexpected gift horse, he needed their help. They might be acting like idiots at the moment, but they both had halfway decent investigative skills and the authority to go along with it. Without a jolt of coffee, he couldn't even think. "Maybe I should call Daddy and get him over here," his brother said, his expression innocent. "He might have some ideas." Bobby frowned at Tucker, who could be an annoying son of a gun on his best days. "You do, and you're a dead man. Leave Daddy out of this. Besides, I'm sure someone has called him already. People always love to report to King when one of us is causing a scene. Who called you, by the way? Never mind, let me guess. It was the mayor, right?" Sadly, his nemesis lived just around the corner, close enough to keep an eye on everything that Bobby did. Not that Bobby was prone to wild parties or overnight guests in his restored Victorian home facing the Potomac River. But Harvey was always lurking around, probably hoping for something he could use against Bobby. Bobby had actually caught him outside with a ruler measuring the grass one day, checking to see if Bobby was in violation of the town's overgrown lot ordinance. "Harvey did express some concern that you were desecrating the Sabbath, to say nothing of violating several zoning ordinances," Tucker admitted, "though he lacked confidence that I'd handle it with deliberate speed. Which is why I'm here," Walker explained. "Backup, in case your brother doesn't follow the letter of the law, about arresting the people responsible for public nuisances." "This is not my damned nuisance," Bobby retorted. "Oh, forget it. If you'll excuse me, I'm going inside to put my pants on before Sue and Franny faint dead away over there." The two women were fanning their flushed faces ineffectively, their gazes locked on him as if they hadn't laid eyes on a partially clothed man in decades. The truth was, they probably hadn't. He waved, clearly flustering them. He'd no doubt have tuna casseroles waiting on his front porch for the next week because of this. They seemed to think a man on his own was likely to starve, despite the fact that Bobby cooked for a living. "What do you want me to do about this?" Tucker asked, looking none too eager to do a blessed thing. "Make it go away," Bobby said emphatically. He gestured to encompass the entire scene. "All of it." "Don't you even want to know how that horse got here?" Walker asked, clearly overcome with curiosity himself. Walker probably wanted all the details to relate to Bobby's sister, who was bound to have 1,000,001 questions. In fact, Bobby was somewhat surprised Daisy hadn't beat her husband over here. Bobby was actually pretty sure he knew what the arrival of the horse was all about. Maybe not the specific person who'd sent it over, but that fancy carved horse was clearly part of someone's bid to get his attention focused on a proposal for the boardwalk development he was planning. He'd had half a dozen unsolicited calls requesting appointments to make presentations since he'd announced a few weeks ago that he had signed the papers to buy the last parcel of riverfront land he needed. In his only public comment on the acquisition, Bobby had made the mistake of mentioning that he intended to get the project started this fall, in the hope that it would be completed by the following summer. Eager developers had been crawling out of the woodwork ever since. "I'll leave it to you two crack lawmen to figure out who's behind this. You have my permission to take the person responsible into custody for trespassing. And with all these other people crawling all over my lawn, that ought to help you meet your arrest quota for the month," he said, throwing it out as an irresistible challenge. Tucker really hated being accused of having quotas of any kind. "Meantime, I'm getting dressed and making coffee. Join me once you've solved the mystery and gotten rid of this circus." Unfortunately, he had a suspicion that wasn't going to be as easy as he'd made it sound. Just as well. He'd have plenty of time to whip up a fluffy omelet and some hash browns before the two of them made it inside. Something told him he was going to need a lot of substance to get through the rest of the day that had started out this badly. Jenna Pennington